You don't attract what you want. You attract what you're incapable of hiding from yourself. While you repeat mantras, visualize success, and tell the mirror you're prosperous, the quantum field is hearing something else. Your doubt, your fear, your hidden scarcity, swept under the rug of positivity. The truth no one tells you is that the universe doesn't respond to your requests. It responds to your state. And your state isn't in your mouth, it's in your body. It's in the way you breathe, walk, wait, or despair. If your life isn't changing, it's not because you're not trying. It's because energetically, you're still asking permission to exist. In this video, you'll learn how to stop asking and start broadcasting. Write in the comments, "I am the signal, I don't ask, I vibrate." That's the beginning of your reconnection. Few names in the history of science have dared to confront the invisible with as much rigor as Jacobo Grinberg. While academia was content to study the brain as a mere biological machine, Grinberg ventured into territory few dared to tread: the structure of consciousness and its direct influence on reality's formation. He didn't just believe it, he demonstrated it. Reality isn't an external objective event, but a projection of the perceptual field shaped by the observer. In his neuronal field theory, Grinberg asserts that everything we experience is built internally, from a vibrational mesh where thoughts, emotions, and mental states act like commands. What you call coincidence, luck, or chance are in fact precise responses to the frequencies you've emitted, whether consciously or unconsciously. Today, his work resonates in quantum physics, neuroscience, and the world's oldest spiritual traditions. And the most astonishing part, all converge on one premise: your reality is malleable and it responds to your internal alignment. That's why mastering conscious energy manipulation can cease to be mysticism and become your way of life. Most people believe reality is fixed, external, something that simply happens to them. They see themselves as victims of circumstances, chance, luck, or the lack thereof. But the truth is far more unsettling. You are shaping your reality every moment. Every recurring thought, every deeply felt emotion, every automatic reaction is manipulating energy. The problem? You do it unconsciously. You don't need to meditate for hours or understand quantum physics to alter the field around you. It's already happening, whether you realize it or not. The energetic field permeating all things, the very one Jacobo Grinberg studied in his neuronal field theory, constantly responds to the signals you emit. Those signals aren't just thoughts. They're frequencies made up of beliefs, emotions, memories, and vibrational patterns you carry in silence. That's why so many feel stuck in cycles that never change. They long for a different life, make plans, recite positive affirmations, yet deep down, they keep broadcasting the same fragmented signal of fear, doubt, unworthiness, or scarcity. And the field doesn't judge or interpret your words, it simply responds. Imagine a radio trying to tune into a station. If the frequency is slightly off, the sound is distorted and noisy. That's exactly what happens with your reality. You're sending signals to the universe, but they're riddled with interference, contradictory thoughts, fear, negative expectations. The result? A life that feels chaotic, unfair, or stuck. Now imagine what happens when you become aware of this. When you realize that what you live isn't the product of chance, but of a sensitive field that responds to your vibration. That's the turning point. From there, everything changes, because you move from spectator to conscious transmitter. Here's the secret few reveal. It's not about creating from scratch. It's about clearing the noise, aligning the signal, and allowing reality to resonate with what's already inside you. It's not about attracting a miracle, but about recognizing that you are the frequency that creates miracles. You're already manipulating energy. The question is, with how much clarity, with how much awareness, and with what internal state? Until now, it may have all seemed random. From now on, it can be intentional. You can tell the universe you want abundance. You can repeat every day that you're ready to prosper. You can plaster positive phrases all over your home. But if, deep down, a part of you still expects the worst, guess what the quantum field will respond with? This is one of the hardest and most liberating truths about manifestation. It's not what you say that matters. It's what you believe effortlessly, what you feel without noticing, what you expect without thinking. It's your subconscious that emits the dominant vibration. And the subconscious doesn't respond to logic. It isn't convinced by words. It's programmed by experiences, intense emotions, repetition, and above all, by habitual internal states. That's why so many people feel like nothing works, because they try to change the outside with conscious intentions, without transforming the real emitter, the emotional and vibrational body. Jacobo Grinberg understood this clearly. He knew the perceptual structure shapes reality, and that this structure is deeply rooted in the unconscious. It's as if the conscious mind is an artist full of ideas, but the subconscious is the hand holding the brush. And if that hand trembles with fear and conditioned to failure, no clear intention will suffice. How many times have you desired something and yet felt it wasn't possible for you? That's vibrational noise. The conscious mind desires, the unconscious blocks. The mouth affirms, the body denies. And the quantum field listens to the body. It listens to the tone of your breath, the tension in your muscles, the anxiety hidden in your chest. That's why most affirmations don't work, because the words are spoken with effort, while the subconscious keeps running on autopilot of scarcity, rejection, and distrust. The dominant frequency isn't the one you're trying to maintain. It's the one your system emits when you're not paying attention. What changes everything is coherence between what you think, feel, and vibrate. When you reprogram the subconscious to feel security where there was fear, to expect possibilities where there were only limits, the field begins to respond differently. The opportunities you once overlooked start to appear. Synchronicities become evident. Movement begins from within. You can fool the world with words, but the field never lies. It responds to your real frequency, and that frequency is being transmitted all the time by who you believe yourself to be. Imagine trying to transmit an important message over a radio full of static. No matter how powerful your speech, it won't be heard clearly. That's exactly what happens when your mind says one thing, your heart feels another, and your body vibrates something entirely different. The quantum field doesn't respond to the force of your desire. It responds to the clarity of your signal. This alignment between thought, emotion, and physical state is what we call coherence. And that's where true power begins to operate. The mind may wish for success, but if the heart still carries sadness or fear, and the body is in constant tension, the message sent to the field is confused. Reality then responds with ambiguous results, advances that fizzle, opportunities that vanish, cycles that repeat. Not because you don't deserve it, but because the field isn't receiving a clear command. Science has already begun mapping this phenomenon. Studies from the HeartMath Institute show the heart emits an electromagnetic field tens of times stronger than the brain's. And when heartbeats synchronize with brain rhythms, a state known as heart coherence, there's a significant boost in perception, decision-making, and above all, manifestation of desired states. Grinberg intuited this in his work. He understood that when the human nervous system is balanced, it becomes a clean channel of communication with the neuronal field that underlies reality. In other words, when you're whole on the inside, the world outside begins to reorganize to reflect that wholeness. But how do you reach that state? It's not about forcing positivity or controlling every thought. Coherence isn't perfection, it's vibrational dominance. It means cultivating a state of presence, where thought is focused, emotion is open, and the body is relaxed. It's being at peace with the moment and, at the same time, tuned into the future you want to live. Simple practices: conscious breathing, heartfelt gratitude, visualization meditation, even slow, mindful movements help align these systems. When you breathe deeply, Visualize with genuine emotion and feel your body relax into trust. You're training your frequency to emit a coherent signal. And when that signal becomes constant, even if imperfect, the field responds with precision. Things flow, paths open, and what once seemed distant begins to arrive without force. Because at last, the universe understands what you're saying. Quantum physics has revealed something extraordinary. Reality, at its deepest level, isn't made of things but of possibilities. What we call real is actually the collapse of a wave function, one among infinite alternatives that could have occurred. And what determines which alternative manifests? The observer's consciousness, but not just any observation, vibrational expectation. You can desire wealth, success, love, expansion, but if your silent expectation is of failure, rejection, scarcity, or loss, it's exactly that frequency that will collapse the field around you. The universe doesn't deliver what you want. It delivers what, energetically, you expect to receive. Most people keep collapsing the same reality over and over because their unconscious expectations remain intact. They practice visualizations, affirm new beliefs, make goal lists, yet carry the weight of an inner story that says, "This isn't for me." Expectation doesn't arise in the intellect, it arises in the body, from emotional repetition, from the sum of lived experiences, and the field, sensitive like a stringed instrument, responds to that vibration with total fidelity. Imagine reality as a hallway lined with doors. Each door leads to a different version of your next moment, success or stagnation, connection or loneliness, expansion or retreat. Which door opens? The one you, perhaps unconsciously, expect to find around the corner. Jacobo Grinberg pointed out that the external world isn't independent of the mind. It's constructed from the beliefs and perceptual filters we carry. The most dangerous of these filters is the one that goes unnoticed. This can't change. This is just how it is. That's a vibrational prophecy. The good news? Expectations can be reprogrammed. You can teach your body to expect the best, even if your mind still has doubts. It begins by replacing unconscious assumptions with conscious vibrational rehearsals. How? By feeling now what you want to live later. By bringing the emotion of the desired outcome into the present moment. By breathing with confidence. By responding to small events as if you've already experienced the best possible scenario. This isn't illusion, it's frequency training. And over time, your nervous system begins to accept this new expectation as the norm. Then, when you least expect it, that unlikely door opens naturally because the expectation has changed, and with it, the collapse of possibilities. You've been conditioned to believe that controlling every detail is the path to creating the life of your dreams. Plan everything, correct everything, anticipate everything. But in the quantum field, that logic falls apart. Because what creates results at this level of reality isn't mental effort, it's internal state of surrender. Here's the paradox. The more you try to force reality, the more resistance you encounter. Because in trying to control the how and when, you transmit anxiety. And the field responds not to your goal, but to the anxious frequency of your attachment. Surrender isn't giving up. It's the opposite. It's the most advanced act of trust. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every hour to check if it's sprouting. You water it, trust it, and allow the process. With the field, it's the same. Your intention must be firm, but your approach must be loose. Jacobo Grinberg understood that the reality field responds to vibration, not imposition. When the observer lets go of the need for control, they align with the field's creative intelligence, which begins to act with a fluidity no mental force could generate. But why is surrender so hard? Because the ego has been trained to interpret surrender as weakness. It says, if I don't control, everything falls apart. But that's an illusion. What really collapses is coherence when control turns into obsession. Control is born of fear, and where fear resides, there is no flow. Surrender begins in the body. When you drop your shoulders, calm your breath, unclench your jaw, you're telling the field, I trust. This trust doesn't need words. It vibrates and the universe understands. At that moment, you stop being someone who asks and become someone who broadcasts. You cease chasing results with tension and start magnetizing them with presence. You become the center of gravity of your experience, no longer someone running after what they want, but someone allowing what they want to draw near. Surrender is vibrational maturity. It's understanding that life doesn't need your constant vigilance to flourish. It only needs your truth, your frequency, and your internal space. The controlling mind wants certainties. The field wants coherence. When you release the weight of doubt and self-pressure, something opens. And what was once locked begins to flow. Not because you forced it, but because you allowed it. All your life you were taught you had to chase what you desire, work harder, be deserving, overcome obstacles. But the quantum field doesn't operate on effort. It operates on resonance. And what you've been seeking is actually waiting for you to become compatible with it. You're not here to attract something from outside. You're here to embody what you want to live. Because the field doesn't move by intellectual intention, it reorganizes around whoever emits a vibration coherent with what they've already chosen to be. This is the difference between trying to manifest and living as the signal itself. When you become the vibration of what you desire, there's no separation between you and the reality you seek. The field doesn't respond out of kindness. It responds by correspondence. Jacobo Grinberg said, "Perception shapes the structure of reality." But that perception isn't merely an intellectual filter, it's a state of being. A person who lives as if abundance is natural begins to detect and access opportunities invisible to someone living in a scarcity frequency. And here's the most transformative point of all. You don't have to be perfect to live as the signal. Living as the signal doesn't mean never feeling fear or doubt. It means having a dominant vibrational state of clarity, truth, and presence. Picture a lighthouse amid a storm. It doesn't go out because the sea is rough. It stays lit, firm, sending its light to any ship that's lost. That's living as the signal, not controlling the sea, but maintaining the steady vibration that guides reality's winds. People who live in this state don't wait for proof to believe. They vibrate as if the result is already here, and that's why it arrives. Not by magic, but by physics. Not by luck, but by coherence. You are the quantum event. Change doesn't come from outside. It comes from within, and the world simply responds. Reality is a mirror that accurately reflects what you hold as truth in your energetic field. Therefore, the final question is no longer, how do I manifest what I want? The question is, what's preventing me from already being what I hope the future will bring? When you live that answer, not as an idea, but as a state, the field responds. Because there's no longer separation between you and what you sought. You've become the very point of collapse. Now that you've grasped the depth of what's happening inside and around you, the question that remains is, what will you do with this? Knowing that reality responds to your vibration changes nothing. The transformation happens when you choose to become the signal. You don't need to change everything at once. Just begin with what's within your reach. Breathe consciously. Observe the silent expectations you carry. Pay attention to what your body says when you think about what you desire. Choose every day one small act of coherence, because when frequency shifts, the field obeys, and when you remain true to that new vibration, the world bows to what you embody. If this resonated with you, subscribe to the channel now. Here you'll find not just ideas, but tools and truths that help you remember who you are in essence. And before you go, write in the comments, which word represents your new vibrational state? It could be trust, flow, presence, power. That word will be your anchoring point, and your signal begins with it.